I'm here with a new unboxing, and this time I will share with you what is inside of the Warhammer Underworlds Beastgrave. I will go through what's new, what I think. I will share the miniatures. I have already assembled them so you can see how they look like. I will do zoom in later on, and we are going to go through other goodies that I have from the same launch. So let's make a look on this box first, and let's talk a little bit about Warhammer Underworlds. So as you can see, I already opened. I wanted to make a look. I wanted to really give some insights of what is here. So first of all, let's look here. We have the tokens. These are the traditional tokens. Normally, yeah, we have a lot of movement tokens, and yeah, we have more than enough. We have wound tokens. We have all the tokens we need to play. We have the new type of objectives. And then on the other side you will see that they have this appearance like that, okay? I think, yeah, these are the wound tokens, and I don't know what is this type of gems. Then we have the glory points, okay? So here we have these ones, and these ones, okay? And we have as well the random thing, and yeah, here we have. We also have two boars, okay? This board have one, this, I don't remember exactly the name, how this is called. Dangerous is this dangerous thing. I don't remember the name. Let me just check in the book to give the right name to this. It's called Lethal X. Okay, so we have one Lethal X. Okay, if you deploy from this side, it's going to be quite far for some warbands to reach. This one is also quite, have 3 blocking X, quite dispersed. Okay, and then we have this other one. It's quite important to know what type of boards we have as well. No, nothing in here in the border, just one there in the border for deployment. If you want to play aggressive, these are not maybe the best. And here we have, this is quite interesting with 2 blocking and 1. So if you want to play aggressive, you put the connection here. If you want to play more defensive, you can play on the other side. So they are quite interesting, and they will combine with the rest. We also have the deck. So let's make a look on the book first. We have we have a little bit of propaganda like that. Okay, I will not pay too much attention to this. To be fair, I don't care too much. We have the assembly guide. Okay, it's just 1 page of assembly guide. And then we have the learn to play. So this is the very fast rules, how to, and the summary. So here we see this is the counter and the wound token. Yeah, I remember now. No, there is a new rule that is the counter that you can put on some some cards, right? So we have the magic dice, we have the attack dice. So it's a quick reference. So it's nice. It's also nice to have it in front of you. Always this type of quick references tables. Okay, and they'll talk about the standard battlefield. And let's go to the rule. Okay, to the rule book. The rule book will start with some background. Okay, we'll have here a little bit of background. They talk about these 2 warbands, and then we will have the introduction to the rules. So the background is just, let's say, what is page 1? Yeah, 12. So it's 12 pages, less than 12 pages of background. Then we go to the introduction. They talk about how to make what is a warband, what are the cards, the other cards. So they talk about the objective cards. So all the different type of cards are explained here. They talk about the deck, so how to build a deck. Okay, so you can have this. You have also the definition of the battlefield. No main changes here. We still have the same type of hexagon, so the starting, the block, the incomplete, the age, the lethal, and then we have the 2 player territories. Okay, this is 1 player territory, and then we have the no one's territory. Okay, and I have not seen any difference on how the different X works. The explanation is changing a little bit, but in principle they work the same. Here we have the first difference. So to place the boards, Know the winner of the roll-off decides if he plays the first board or the opponent is placing the first board, so you can decide who is placing the second board and who has more objective in his side. So this is quite an interesting thing. So this is the strategy now. It starts from the roll-off, it's not automatic anymore. The second point is now the objective are double side, as you can see here. Okay, so we will need to change now to the Beastgrave objective if we play Beastgraves. I'm wondering if in some championships we will play without the rules of Beastgraves on some tournaments. Okay, so from this side, when objective will be normally at the start of the game facing up, okay, with the numbers, so they will work as in previous editions as any objective. But if for any reason the objective is turned during the game, no, this is a lethal X. Okay, so this is important to know because this will add a strategy, and on top of that we can put one of these lethal X after placing the objectives. So this is additional X that we can add. So even if you take a board without any lethal X, your opponent can put in your board one of these ones. So this is another strategy element that you can use to block the enemy, to make the approach of the enemy more difficult, or to protect yourself, right? So you have here, and it's explained here. Let me just read the rule. Each player may then choose to add one lethal X. It's a choose. Okay, so it's not mandatory, so you can choose if you want to play or not, to put or not the lethal X. These are different things. You can keep discarding the cards when you start the game. And then we go to the action phase. I have not detected any main change. The magic works more or less the same. The move action is the same. Well, the magic goes more on the power phase. To be fair, the only thing I will say that for me it's different. No, yeah, they have changed a couple of things, and that I think for me it's different, or at least now it's more clear. So first, this is a change. The guard action now, you cannot push back if you are in guard. So it's explained here. As an activation, a fighter might make a guard action. When they do, give the fighter the guard token. The guard action is then complete. After with one or more guard tokens is on guard, which means they count as shield and dodge, okay, as successes in their defense rolls. In addition, they cannot be driven back, and this now it's important, right? Well, it was important before. So we have the other thing we have is we start having attack action keywords. So we are going to have cleave as before. Snare is the cleave for dodge. Knockback is the same as before, and seething is when you can attack all the enemies around you. Okay, so now we are going to go more in the form of keywords. Okay, we have here. Here I read this very fast. So we still have the rule of persist as before. I don't think here they explain a little bit more about the sequencing. These were. And then the modifiers, I don't think there is a big change here. And they talk about the innate symbols, as we also have it before. I read quite fast. I have not detected any big thing there. The only thing I want to go now is at the end of the book. So this is a very interesting diagram we have on the book. Let me see if I can avoid the glare. So when you do attack, here we have now how the second sequence works, right? And here we have a very nice table of the result. And I think this is helping a lot. Because if we have, for example, here it's telling you, if you have no successes and anything on the defense, the attack fails. But the thing that there were some doubts in the past, if both have a quit, it fails, but drive back. So it's the same as before. This have not changed, but here you have really a very easy to check what's happening, right? But the other thing that is important now is if you are driving back now, okay? What happens if you are trapped? So if you are trapped means that you cannot be drive back. Okay, imagine that you are, let's put as an example, right? You are here in this corner and you are attacked from this side, okay? So this is the attacker and he is the defender, okay? So you win, this guy cannot be drive back, okay? Because he goes out of the board. What happens when this is happening? Okay, this can happen as well, for example, in this situation, right? Like that. You cannot be drive back. So you are in trouble, okay? So when you cannot be driven back, because of any reason, okay, you can also be blocked by your colleagues, right? If you are here, and then you have, I don't know, one colleague here, and suppose that you have also an enemy here, then you attack from this side, this guy cannot be driving back. It's surrounded, so there is not a space to drive him back. It's more easier if this guy is in the border, you attack from here and he had another, you have another ally there, okay? This cannot be driven back neither, okay? So just to show you some examples when this happens. Okay, when you cannot drive it back, then the attack, even if you fail all the attacks, is considered a success. Okay? So here it is. Let me show you what I mean, okay? The attack fails. Sorry. The attack action fails. Okay, so players have the same number of successes. Okay, so you cannot, is in this situation, right? If you have fewer, you go to the top. But if you are in the situation where you have 2 successes, so it fails, but you can drive back, okay? But you cannot drive him back because he's trapped. Then you go, you say, is the target trapped? Yes, then the action succeeds. It's not 1 damage as before. Is your action succeeds, okay? And then here we see, so if the action succeeds, you deal damage. Check if the target is taken out of action. They are not drive back, end of sequence. Okay, so this is important thing for me now. So here you drive back. What happens if you cannot drive back? Nothing happens. But if you fail and you cannot drive and the target is trapped, okay, then you do a success, you do the damage, and then you push back. So this is quite interesting because it's changing a lot how this works now, right? I think this before was just +1 damage, if I'm not wrong. So what traffic was considered 1 damage. So this is one of the things I have detected. And now let's make a look to the cars. Okay, so here we have the what's called this, the Sky's Wild Hound. Okay, so the elf, or the ones that are similar to the elves. So these guys are quite weak. So this is the inspired side. So when they get inspired, they get some boost. For example, this one is the half horse, so it takes +1 defense and is more efficient. So these are nicely boosted. So they boosted in a couple of places. Not more wounds, so they have again. When this one is up, it wins in movement, and in attacking, it's more precise attacking. This type of lion, and when it's inspired, it has better defense and better attack as well. Okay, and this guy, when it's inspired, you see they have 2 defenses already from the beginning. He's the mage, and I think he's winning in movement, and that's all. Okay, and damage. So in movement and damage. So you see, normally, and this guy is the archer. He's winning on move, and I think that's all. So this is the only one. No, here I have a snare, so you cannot dodge him. Okay, so here we have the characters. This is what are quite inspired, and this we are going to have as well the deck. What I find interesting is we have 2 times the hold objective cards. So you will have these ones here in the deck of the elf, and they will be as well on the elf on the deck of the beast. And yeah, they have this one is quite a flexible band, so they can hold objectives. They have a lot of movement, but they are quite weak to die. Although you have 5 of these guys, you have some ones that are hitting quite hard, like but they attacks even when they are inspired, and yeah, and just the one with the trumpet. I think the one with the trumpet is one of the key guys. Is the mage. He's not the leader, but he's really one of your key guys. And the other important one is the boss, who is the centaur guy. Okay. They have different types of rules, and they have rules for killing. You have also the annihilation. I never use this in my decks. And they have also, here you have all the cards for them. I will not go all on of them, but there is a lot of movement on them. There are also this one. I think there was one that was interesting because you put a move token on an opponent. It was a spell of 4 range. Okay, and then there was one. It's not here. I think this is also quite interesting one. So it's a reaction, and so you do double shooting with your archer. You here have one with +2 to move, and it's for everybody, not just for the centaur. So they can be they are very mobile. They have movement 4 and 5, and when they are inspired, I think all of them are movement 5, if I'm not wrong. So this is going to be a very fast warband. It's not. They will not go through Lethal X or Blood X like the Briar Queen, but it's going to be a very fast band. So here we have also, this is very interesting one, because your leader does not have a damage 3 attack, so you can add a damage 3 attack on him with this upgrade. So I think this upgrade is quite interesting. The leader is the only one with 4 wounds. The rest of your warband will have 2 or 3 wounds, right? You have also a magic attack that you can add. So you can see, and then we have the typical ones, the common ones, that is the step side, the snare. The snare is a new one, so it's a reaction. Play when this during friendly hunter's attack action. After advice back the enemy fighter is still 1 damage. It's like the trap, but you know it's more difficult, right? It's more difficult than the trap. So you have to be a hunter, and your opponent have to be how it's called this? No, you only have to be a hunter. Sorry. Yeah, during a friendly, you have to be a hunter, and then you need to check how many of yours are hunters. So, for example, of this warband, all are hunters except the kitty cat. Okay, so this is interesting, and this is a very difficult one. But know that we have more lethal X can be interesting. If you're pushed back to a lethal X, you can also do 1 damage to your opponent. And then we have the typical great fortitude and great strength. Okay, this is the deck of the elves. Now we have the deck of the beastman. This, if we say that the previous one they were not too strong, these are even weaker in terms of defense. Okay, so you will see that they don't have too many wounds. 2, 3, 2. This is the strong guy. This is the leader and the shaman. So it's the one with 4 wounds, and the rest all have 2 or 3. Okay, this is the strong guy. So we have the shaman, who is your leader and your magician of the warband. Okay, and also have the special rule that whenever an enemy fighter is taken out of action, put a ritual counter on this card. Okay, reaction: during a friendly fighter's attack action, before the attack roll, remove a ritual counter from this card. If you do so, you can reroll 1 dice in the attack roll. Okay, so you give a reroll. And then on the other side was at the start of the game. Okay, so you start with 1 of this ritual, and if you kill 1, you will have 2 of them. Okay, so at the start of the game, and whenever you kill an opponent, you will have. These are the 2 key guys of the warband. Then you have an archer like this one. I think you have 2 archers. These 2 are almost, if not the same, they are almost the same. I don't know when they inspired. They inspired in a different way. So this one is winning in snare, and is a little bit more precise in shooting. and this guy is more precise in close combat, but is not winning any ability. To be fair, the gains of these guys is very low. They don't win too much abilities, and you have two guys with two spearmen, right? One have damage 2 and the other one have damage 1, and if you turn them, yeah, they went precision in the attack mainly. Okay, your shaman. Sorry, this is the shaman. It's winning. What he was winning is winning a cliff. Okay, but I don't think you want to expose him. So this is really a guy that you want to keep quite protected, because it's the one that is inspiring the rest of the guys. And then you will have, I think this is the bodyguard for your shaman with 3 damage, and when he's inspired is also cliff. So these are the big beastmen, and the other ones are the small ones. It looks interesting. It's a band. I think it's a band that you can play very aggressively, because how they get inspired is by killing. And although the inspiration is not that important on this warband, because the inspiration is not that big, but if you look at the cards they have, a lot of them synergize, and the points that you win is there is a lot about killing opponents. So I think killing is quite important, but it's also about a warband that can play quite nicely on control, right? Because you have movement 4 with all your warband, and you have a lot of guys, right? So they can also do quite nicely the control role on the board. So it's quite a flexible one, but I have to say that the objective and the cards that is coming with are more oriented to combat. Okay, at the end we have a pre-built decks. This is the pre-built deck, and you will also have the control objectives from 1 to 5, and you will have cards dedicated to them. So here is what I was saying that. So this card is +1 dice to the first range 1 range 2 attack, +1 damage to the attack. Choose an enemy fighter adjacent to a friendly fighter and push. So it's all about. Then you have this bestial that is +2 movement. So you have movement and also quite a lot of benefits. For example, this one, choose a friendly fighter, deal 1 damage. Okay, give them guard token. So choose a friendly fighter. They are dealt 1 damage. Okay, so your friendly fighter will receive 1 damage. Give a guard token and +2 dice to the first action. So you put him on guard, and then in the next action he will have +2 dice in the attack. So it's quite cool. It's one. Choose up to 2 friendly fighters, hunters, and push them up to 2x. So you have +1 damage to the first attack action made by a friendly hunter. And then the other thing that's interesting is your warband. All the small guys are hunters. Okay, all the small guys are hunters, and the 2 big ones are not hunters. So this is also important to know who is affected by these cards. +1 damage to this fighter of range 1 and 2. So you can see there is a lot of +1 damage, and then you can add cliffs to one of your hunters, for example. So yeah, and there are some good cards, there are ones that are not that good. Then we have the typical generic ones. Confusion. This is the new spell that you will see. This gives +1 defense, and the spell persists. The snare again, the cattle tops again, the great fortitude, the great speed, and the great strength. Okay, and then we have the generic cards, and in the generic card we also have cards dedicated to these 2 warbands. Okay. So for example, here we have the bestial cunning objective. So score this immediately when you play your 3rd or subsequent gambit in a single round. This is quite nice. I think this can be quite easy to do. Score this end of phase if 3 or more enemy fighters are out of action. You will see more of these. They have killing blow, again another one to kill. Surge, score this immediately after an activation if 3 or more friendly fighters are in enemy territory. So it's quite an aggressive warband, and you can play them quite aggressively, but you have to be careful, because they are going to be quite easy to kill at the same time. Okay, but I find them quite interesting. Then we have more for the Kurnots. Okay, so we have here the aspect of Kurnot. So if I think this is if all our surviving fighters are inspired, if 3 have an upgrade, the hand head is a hybrid card. So there is also a new type of cards that are the hybrid. Score this at the end of the phase if an enemy fighter with a wounds characteristic of 4 weighted is out of action, or your warband holds 3 or more objectives. So this is, you can choose which objective you want to do. Okay, so you score less than the supremacy, but you can score if you kill an enemy that is big. So what is it? I find this very interesting, this type of cards. Then we have the search, means that you score this immediately. You have the typical end of the phase, and then there is the dual that you have to accomplish 2 objectives at the same time to score. I don't know if there is any dual here. I think most of them were in the that. Okay, but this is more to give order to the objectives. And then we have the typical objectives that we have seen in all the previous editions: the conquest, the denial, and the supremacy. Okay, we have more plots and magic powers for the Beastman, and also upgrades, and the same for the Kurnots. Okay, and then we have the generic ones. There's confusion again. There is a new generic that you can choose a fighter. They are a query, and this effect persists until that fighter is taken out of action. Okay, so you mark a 1 with a query, and then you have the sidestep. You have the great. Then we have the predatory instinct. That you this fighter is a hunter. You can reroll 1 dice. For this attack action that target a quarry. Okay, here you have it. So it's quite interesting. I think it gives a new twist to the game, and I'm looking forward to paint them and start playing them. And now we have also the dices, but there is no difference. I don't even open them because I have the ones from the previous edition. So let's make now a look to the miniatures. I will zoom in and I will show you the miniatures. So let's start with the Beastman. We are going to have 2 big Beastmans. I think these are called Vestigors, if I'm not wrong. I don't know. So this is the Shaman. Okay, you will. It's quite easy to identify him. It's the one with this magic rod or staff, and then is holding this type of thing. Is a dagger. I think it's a ceremonial dagger on the other hand. And then we have the warrior. Is the one that can do damage 3, and they are quite nicely detailed. I think I like a lot how they are designed. Very difficult to see the joints. They are just pushed in, and they are designed in a way that everything is quite hidden. This was interesting. The horns is a part that is separated from the head. Okay, but all in all, I think if you can see. Chainmail, nicely detailed, musculature very well defined. He has a trophy in his hand, and the pose is more static, but is showing that he is the main warrior of the warband. Here we see the shaman and the leader. Okay, he has wearing his typical Beastman hood. Has a lot of small details everywhere. A lot of trophies and totems holding from everywhere, and I think there is all the detail nice and crisp. Difficult to see because the plastic is quite dark. Okay, then we have the 2 hunters with spears. Okay, I think this were called umbros if I'm not wrong. I like a lot, for example, this detail here that this guy it's using an element of the base. It's not just flat, so we also have this type of that tree where he's holding, okay, or where he's just grabbing. I think they look they're quite nice. I think all the Beastmen are male, and yeah, these are going to be interesting to paint because it's never paint Beastmen. Then we have the 2 with bows. Okay, I like a lot this one, the pose of this one. I think it's very interesting. You can see some whitening because this one you have to be very careful when you remove from the sprue and when you assembled, because this part can be quite fragile. Okay, very easy to bend or to damage. So, but it's things like the pose. It's really interesting. This one. It's more like a savage pose, telling the guy on what do you want from me, right? really showing that he is not scared of anything. Then we go to the Kurnots. This guy is the leader. This is like a centaur, an elf centaur. Very nicely detailed. A lot of parts. These armor plates are a separate part. Very easy to assemble. Here you have to be careful because you have the joint. At the back, the joint is much discreet, but when we paint, we have to be careful that you don't show off too much the joint. Quite an interesting assembly. On the body we cannot see any joint, and I think the Cage Workshop is working quite nicely to hide all the different unions or joints of the parts. Okay. Then we have the magician and the blower, or the guy with the trumpet. Okay, and also the guy with the strongest attack. That is quite surprising. So here we see the guy. I have to be careful. I put it the other way around. You see that I damage a little bit the leg, but this is nothing that is going to go. No, it's quite solid and it's steady. So, but again, a lot of parts. These are maybe the most, not the most tricky one to assemble, but there is one that it's quite curious how everything comes together very nicely and without leaving too many gaps, or almost non-visible gaps. This one, again, a super dynamic pose. I think it's much better when you see him when you have hair, because this is a woman, when you have hair in your hands. But I think they really nailed the pose, and they have horse tails. The other one, no. I don't know if this is a horse tail that she has. I think, yeah, she has a tail. Because this one, I don't think he has a tail, or the tail is hiding under the robe, under the cloth. But I don't think this one has tail. It's interesting that the lady has a tail. The lady don't, no, and this one also has tail. This is a man. I like a lot this one. Again, be very careful. The joint here it's very narrow, but I think this is really the pose. The guy is flying, right? He's just flying. The base is quite interesting. Not, I see the idea. I'm not sure how this will come out when it's painted, but it's like if there is water and then we have the circles of the water, that something impacted in one point of the base. Okay, I don't know if this can be appreciated. I hope when I paint this one, it can be interesting when painting. I'm thinking on the color scheme right now, and then we have the kitty cat, right? The kitty cat that also have a tail with like a blade. Okay, so it's so very nice. The only thing I will say, okay, we have two guys jumping with the front legs. If why not to do one like that, and I will have done maybe the tiger in the opposite way with the back legs, like if these two are finishing the jump. I will have done one finishing the jump and the other one starting the jump, you know. And that's all of the Beastgrave. So here we have all the Beastgrave. We have made quite a long review, but I want to share with you what is inside. I want to share with you my opinion about the game. I think it's going to be very interesting. I think they tied up the rules. And there is another thing that I forgot. At the end of the rule book, there is a glossary. There is a summary of all the rules, so ordered by alphabetic order. I think this is very interesting. So, all the keywords, right? So you can see here, there is a glossary, and you will find all the keywords and what they mean. And I guess they put also in which page you will have the rules. So if something comes and you don't know what that means, this is like a small dictionary for this game. So really an interesting new edition. I'm looking forward to play this Friday. I don't think we'll play with these warbands. I like to play with painting miniatures, but looking forward really to paint them and to play with them as soon as possible. I will need to wait until I finish the tower project, but yeah, and you can expect some tutorials on these guys in the channel coming soon. Yeah, leave it in the comments below. Which band would you like me to paint first? The Kurnots, the Elves, or the Beastmen? which one is more interesting for you. You cannot see anything with all this nice background. Okay, so that's all for this Beastgrave review. Please give a like if you have liked the video, comment, share. You always, all this type of support is very welcome. You can also support me in Patreon if you want. All the money I collect in Patreon is to bring you more stuff and more miniatures to paint and more work, more content to the channel. And that's all for now. As usual, thanks a lot for watching and see you again later. Bye.